Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Regulation F VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing one of the most creative teams I've seen so far in the Regulation F format. This team finished in the top 32 of the Portland Regional Championships, which was the very first major of the Regulation F format, and it was built and piloted by Sacramento Regional Champion Michael Zhang. Michael won the Sacramento Regional Championships with Kommo-O and Tyranitar, and he's brought both of those back in for the Regulation F format. But it doesn't just stop there. This team also has Latios, Follow Me, Eviolite Magmar, as well as Primarina. So out of the team, there's only one Pokemon that's really commonly used in Rillaboom, and everything else is very off the wall. And for Michael to have finished in the top 32 of Portland Regionals, and for a team to just feature Pokemon like Latios and Magmar, I think is so incredible. So I'm really excited to feature it. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below. And thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, would really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Before we get started, today's video is sponsored by Royal Match, a game made by Dream Games. Royal Match is a match 3 puzzle game where you help King Robert build and renovate his castle by solving puzzles. It's completely free to play with no ads, and you don't even need to access the internet in order to play the game. I actually first heard about Royal Match back when I was working in the gaming industry. At the time, it was one of the fastest growing mobile games in the world, so I wanted to check it out and see what the hype was about, and I immediately became a fan. I like playing Royal Match for a couple of reasons. It's low time commitment, it's easy to get into, and the lack of ads greatly enhances the experience. For me, it's the perfect game to play when I have a couple of minutes to spare and want to just relax and unwind for a little bit. I've been a big fan of Royal Match and Dream Games for a while now, so it's surreal to get sponsored by them. You can download Royal Match for free now using the link in the description below or the QR code right up there. Every single download helps me and the channel out a ton, so it's a nice way to support the channel for free if you're interested. And I personally really do like the game and endorse it, so I hope you try it out. Anyway, a huge thank you to Royal Match and Dream Games again for sponsoring today's video. To just offer some quick context, this team, like I mentioned, finished in the top 32 at the Portland Regional Championships, which was the first major of the Regulation F rule set. That tournament had over 500 players, and if you want to check out the results for it, I'll link it down in the description below. I wanted to quickly highlight the results because Michael's team really stands out among all the teams that made it into the second day. If you look at Michael's team, he of course has a lot of unique Pokemon: Latios, Tyranitar, Kommo-O, Magmar, and Primarina. If you scroll through all of the other teams that were in day 2 of that competition, it's hard to even find one of the other Pokemon that I just mentioned, right? No one else here actually has a Latios, or a Magmar, or a Tyranitar, or a Kommo-O, or a Primarina. So the fact that Michael had all of those Pokemon combined on one team just makes it all the more crazier, right? So, like, it's not just one unique Pokemon that stands out. It's a team that is using tons of very off-the-wall, non-meta Pokemon that people were not using for in-person tournament play, right? And even if you scroll beyond just day 2 and go through, like, the top 128 teams, there are very few of those Pokemon that I just mentioned. So it's really a testament to how incredible of a team builder Michael is, and to make all of that work and to bring it into an in-person tournament and come so close to making the top 8 is just so amazing. I think Michael won the Sacramento Regional Championships with Kommo-O and Tyranitar, and that to me is one of the most unique regional champion teams of really not just this season, but the last couple of seasons. And so he is definitely one of my favorite team builders, and I'm really excited to see how he continues to perform throughout the season. But I wanted to just quickly highlight the results because it is so wild that a team featuring so many unique Pokemon performed so well at this tournament. Breaking things down, as always, rental, pace, and team creator are linked down in the description below. And question of the day, I want to know what your favorite unique pick in the Regulation F format is down in the comment section below. Now, Magmar, of course, is one of the most unique picks on this team, and it's a very underrated redirection user. You might be wondering, why would anyone use Magmar over something like Indeedee, Amoonguss, or even Volcarona? Well, it's got a couple things that make it stand out. First of all, Eviolite plus Follow Me, just a really nice combination. Flame Body in particular is an incredible ability here because there's so many Pokemon that currently use contact moves, so being able to burn things like Water Urshifu, for example, is really, really valuable. 30% chance is honestly really good odds. You also have Helping Hand on this Magmar, which is, I'd say, one of the biggest use cases for this over any other redirection user, right? It's the fact that you have Helping Hand, you have Flame Body, and with Grass Terra plus Eviolite, this thing is just quite bulky, right? Normally, Water Urshifu looks at Magmar and they're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to KO you with Surging Strikes. But with Grass Terra, you can go for Follow Me, and with Flame Body, it's very likely that you're going to be able to burn your opponent's Urshifu, for example. Helping Hand is really nice because it combos really nicely with Pokemon like Latios and Rillaboom. With the Helping Hand, you can go for something like Helping Hand Draco Meteor boosted by the Soul Dew as well and just secure a one-hit knockout onto things that otherwise won't expect to get KO'd. And with this Rillaboom, you've got Miracle Seed as well, right? So you're able to just go for something like Helping Hand, Grass Terra, plus Grassy Glide and secure a one-hit knockout on something that normally doesn't expect to get knocked out by Grassy Glide. So Helping Hand is a big reason why this Magmar I think is very nice. Also, Magmar just has great base special attack, right? Base 100 is no joke, and Overheat actually does really meaningful damage. If you look at Latios in particular, Latios really hates going up against Steel-type Pokemon because it resists Ice, Dragon, and Psychic, but Magmar is such a perfect partner for it because it covers for those Steel-type Pokemon, right? And so going up against Steel-type options or Steel Terras, Magmar really can just kind of nuke them with Overheat. You shouldn't expect to get, I guess, one-hit knockouts onto a lot of those Pokemon, but, you know, for example, I had a Magmar deal 90% to an Amoonguss, and this doesn't even really have special attack investment, so that's really nice. Magmar combos really nicely in particular, like I said, with a lot of the different Pokemon on this team. I really like Latios and Rillaboom because you can get those surprise knockouts with Helping Hand. Latios is also a really cool pick. I think it is pretty underplayed, and it does a lot of damage. Latios was actually one of the best Pokemon in VGC back in 2012 and 2013, especially when Dragon Gem was the theme, but it's really fallen off since then. However, I think it has a very nice use case on this team, which is that it has a great Landorus Incarnate matchup. Lando-I is really common right now, and Latios not only outpaces it, but can deal super effective damage with Icy Wind. Poison Terra is the most common Terra on Landorus as well, and so you're able to then hit it for super effective damage if they Terra with Luster Purge, which is awesome. Landorus actually has a really good matchup against everything else on this team, and so having a Pokemon that can really threaten Landorus I think is very nice. Draco and Luster Purge just deal massive amounts of damage, and Luster Purge is just such a nice move because you have a very good chance of lowering your opponent's special defense, 50% to be precise. Icy Wind is good speed control for this team, and I think combos very nicely in particular with Tyranitar and Kommo-O. The Tyranitar here, as well as the Kommo-O and Rillaboom, are very similar to the trio that Michael used to win the Sacramento Regional Championships. If you want to check out that team, by the way, I covered it right after Sacramento Regionals in a video linked down in the description below. So they're all very similar from the team that Michael won Regionals with in a previous format, right? But the idea is simple. Max Speed Tyranitar, when combined with Icy Wind speed control, is really nice. With a single Icy Wind, Tyranitar will be outpacing a lot of things that generally don't expect to get outsped by Tyranitar, and Grass Terra Terra Blast just really valuable, especially into Water Urshifu, and gives you really good coverage. Knockoff, just an incredible move as well. This is one of the strongest knockoffs you can have, right? Base 134 attack, near max attack, as well as same type attack bonus, just means that you can actually get a one-hit knockout onto a lot of Pokemon that you deal super effective damage to, which I think is really sweet. Rillaboom here is fairly straightforward. It's a very offensive set with Grassy Glide, Wood Hammer, and Protect. The main thing to call out is Protect plus the Grass Terra here. Like I said, Grass Terra combos really nicely with the Grassy Glide and Helping Hand support, so that's one of the main combos you can go with, but Wood Hammer plus Miracle Seed plus the Grass Terra plus Max Attack means you can just get one-hit knockouts on so many Pokemon on the format, which is awesome. The final two to talk about are Kommo-O and Primarina. This Primarina is really unique. You've got Rocky Helmet with Life Dew as well. So the Primarina does a lot of damage, but the main thing to note is that you can switch this in on Water Urshifu, as well as other physical attackers, and you could heal with Life Dew. I think this move is really underrated and underplayed, because you both heal Primarina as well as your partner. Now on this team, you have a good amount of healing. Rillaboom can set up grassy terrain, and Kommo-O here has leftover. So I've had games where Kommo-O takes like 50-60% of its health, but then Primarina is able to come in, Life Dew, Rillaboom sets up grassy terrain, and between leftovers, Life Dew, and terrain, and Protect, Kommo-O can basically heal up so much of its HP in the matter of just 1 or 2 turns, which is really nice. So I think Primarina is kind of underplayed right now in the format. There's so many Pokemon it matches up well into, right? Pokemon like Entei, Champao, Dragonite, just to name a couple, as well as Water Urshifu. So being able to tank attacks from those and then also deal super effective damage in return is really nice. Also Incineroar, which of course is one of the most common Pokemon. Kommo-O returns after Michael won Sacramento Regionals with it. I think it was one of the most unique Pokemon to win a big tournament recently, and it's cool to see it returning on this team. Fairly straightforward. The main point, of course, is to try to set up Iron Defense and then Body Press away. Flash Cannon plus Steel Terra is a really nice combo as well, and Steel Terra is also nice defensively to protect you against Fairy-type attacks as well as Ice-type attacks. And the main thing to note about this Kommo-O is that it's Overcoat rather than Soundproof, which is what the previous Kommo-O Michael had been using was. Soundproof gives you a better Fluttermane matchup, but Fluttermane doesn't actually feel that scary for this team because you've got AVT-Tar, you've got Rillaboom, you've got Magmar, which can, redirect Fairy-type attacks away and doesn't take much from Dazzling Gleam. And then you also have Steel Terra Latios, and so it's, a decision that you have to make at the end of the day. I think both abilities are really viable, but Overcoat just is nice because it means that you don't take sand damage from Tyranitar either, and I think that can go a long way in healing up Kommo as well. So with the Kommo, you can go for setups like Magmar plus Kommo and just immediately go for Follow Me plus Iron Defense. You can go with Rillaboom Kommo, fake out into Iron Defense immediately. And then, like, I think back Primarina is also really nice because Life Dew, I think, is particularly valuable when paired with the Kommo. So, yeah. In terms of ways with playing with the team, I think you have to be intentional about like how to deal super effective damage, especially because with this team, like you do have speed control via Latios, but a lot of the Pokemon are kind of in the mid-tier speed range. But some leads that I think I really like considering leading Magmar. Magmar with everything I think is pretty nice. You can make a good case for all of it. With Latios and Rillaboom, you can pressure with damage. With Kommo, you can try to start setting up with this immediately. I think Rillaboom Kommo, if you want to just start setting up with this, is also quite strong. And if you want to just deal damage, like really any combination of Latios, Rillaboom, T-Tar, and Primarina is pretty powerful. I think I like Latios, T-Tar in particular in matchups where my opponent doesn't have great speed control, and like they don't have super fast Pokemon or Tailwind. Latios can just start Icy Winding, and then Tyranitar can just start outpacing things essentially. So yeah, that's it for a quick breakdown. In terms of weaknesses, I think this team is a little bit harder to pilot than some of the other teams I've featured on the channel because you're using a lot of Pokemon that are kind of in the mid-tier speed range, and your only real means of speed control is Icy Wind via Latios. I think the Terra on this team is incredibly important because there are a lot of things that threaten all of the Pokemon for good damage, right? Like Latios is just threatened by Flutter Mane, right? Flutter Mane, in fact, does a lot of good damage to everything on this team, and Kommo, for example, also threatened by Flutter Mane. So you do have to be very intentional about how you approach and play with the team. I think in a lot of the losses I've had, for example, against Kommo in particular, I've had opponents who are really good at switching in, right? So it's like they'll switch in a Flutter Mane even after I've set up and got into +6 defense. I don't get any damage off with body press, and then they just like launch really strong special attacks into Kommo and take care of it. That's one approach, for example, I've gone up against. I've also had games where I Terra Magmar defensively to try to take a super effective Earth Power from Landorus or Urshifu, but then Grass Terra means that you are weak to new types, right? Ice becomes really scary, Flying becomes really scary, Poison becomes really scary. So I think in a lot of the games I've lost, I also don't do a very good job of maintaining my Terra. Use it to cover for one move in particular, or one turn. That turn doesn't work out super well, and then my opponent can pressure with a lot more super effective damage afterwards. I think Champow's also a little bit spooky to go up against because it threatens Latios for super effective, as well as Rillaboom, T-Tar, and Kommo-O. You do have a lot of Champao answers, right? Overheat Magmar, Primarina with Moonblast, Tyranitar with Sand Breaks Focus Sash, but just keep in mind, like, a lot of those Pokemon that are just above base 110, as well as Choice Scarf Pokemon, can get a little bit spooky for this team, just because then you won't be able to move before them, right? And I think that can be a little bit challenging. You can also miss moves with this team, right? Draco, Icy Wind, Overheat, Rock Slide are all moves I can miss, and so Latios, especially having no bulk, like I've had games where a single miss can be game-changing, because it makes the difference between, like, getting a knockout onto something versus you just fainting, and that's obviously a really tough trade, but that's just something you have to accept when you're using Latios in particular. So yeah, those are just a couple things I wanted to highlight. Okay, we've got Tornadus, Urshifu, Indeedee, Iron Crown, Regidrago, and Flutter Mane. It's a team very much oriented around spread moves. I think Tyranitar is pretty cool here. Magmar is decent against Tornadus Urshifu if I Grass Terra it. We can also use it for helping hand support. We're definitely going to want to bring Rillaboom into size spam. I think we want to bring Assault's Tyranitar as well. Latios for Icy Wind is interesting. Primarina feels really good here. I could also Steel Terra it, and it's got Life Dew, which I can take advantage of. Getting boosts from Kommo-O, though, isn't going to be really crucial here because they're almost all special attackers. So I'm thinking like Tyranitar, Primarina, Rillaboom. Okay, I think I'm going to try Magmar, Tyranitar with Primarina and Rillaboom in the back. I don't love Latios in this matchup, mainly because of them having Tailwind. Right, and so it's like Latios, I really want to bring if I can get good Icy Winds off, but with them having Tailwind and having things like Flutter Mane to just threaten it with offense, I don't want to commit a Terra just to click Icy Wind. And Draco doesn't even secure a one-hit knockout onto a lot of their Pokemon. But it's going to just be Indeedee plus Crown, which is fine. So I think in this situation, I would expect my opponent to just go for follow me. And they could be Tachyon Cutter here. Could be something like Helping Hand Tachyon Cutter. I'm also, I guess, worried that they have Focus Blast, so we could just go for follow me here, honestly. And knock off on turn 1. And just get rid of NDD. I wonder if they're Water Terra Blast here. I'm just worried about Focus Blast on Iron Crown. Like Helping Hand Focus Blast. Alright, I'll go for follow me and knock off here. Okay, they're going to commit a Terra. The good thing here is if they end up tearing the crown and its water, I can Wood Hammer it or glide it. But it's going to be Psychic Terra. Okay, that's fine. Tyranitar doesn't mind that too much. I'm mainly curious if they go for follow me here. One would expect a follow me. Yep, okay, we just trade follow me. I guess they just click Expanding Force here. No, Tachyon Cutter. Oh, that's amazing for us. Nice. Beautiful. Magmar resists that. And Tyranitar gets a super effective knockoff, which gets a one-hit KO onto NDD. Perfect. It's really nice that NDD here didn't have Psychic Seed. Because the awkward thing is, because the booster energy was committed on the crown, it's going to be a little bit harder to just KO it with Tyranitar, but I'll still gladly take that turn. It's interesting that they committed the Terra, but I guess they may have been worried about, like, Tyranitar knocking them out first. Onto NDD, and then Magmar just getting an overheat off into Crown. Urshifu comes out. So this is interesting, right? Because we have Rocky Helmet Primarine in the back. I also have Rillaboom for terrain control. I could go for... like, I want to switch him Primarina here. I want to double switch, I think, ideally. I also don't know who's faster here. Okay. Yeah, I'm mainly not sure like where Urshifu wants to target here. I also could have just gone for Grass Terra with Tyranitar, but I like the idea of just getting rid of Terrain immediately right now and conserving my Terra for a turn. But I honestly thought about going for Grass Terra Magmar and then follow me. The problem is that like the Crown still does a lot of damage with Expanding Force, right? So I want to just get rid of the Expanding Force. I think switching the other way around actually might have made a little bit more sense here, but let's see. Yep, Tachyon Cutter into Primarina's slot. Wondering if they double up into that slot. Strikes in a Rillaboom. Okay. Would have been nice to get the Rocky Helmet here. And I think, yeah, their targeting here was fairly straightforward, so I could have flipped it, but it's honestly still fine. Okay. The main thing to confirm here is that Urshifu is not Choice Scarfed. That's one big piece of information. So we're Grass Terra on Rillaboom, so what I could do right now is just Grass Terra and go for the Grassy Glide to just knock out Urshifu. I think that's tempting. I also have Fake Out, so one other play I could make this turn is like Fake Out into Crown and then go for Life Dew. Or Fake Out into Urshifu, because that might close combat me. If I were my opponent, I would double protect here, which is why the idea of Life Dew is tempting. Alright, I'll Fake Out Crown and Life Dew here. Crown protects. Hoping to see Protect from Urshifu as well. Nice. Okay, perfect. This is like a little bit risky because I guess Urshifu could attack in this position, but very happy to have baited out the Protect on both Pokemon and get some free recovery on both. Okay, awesome. I think I'm okay committing to the Grass Terra Rillaboom option right now. I think my main debate then is, do I want to attack with Primarina, or would I rather prefer to click Life Dew again? I think attacking is probably okay. Like, one of the questions we should ask is, what is their final Pokemon going to be? Reggie, Drago, Fluttermane. Like, Urshifu could switch out in this position, right? Terra, Glide. It could be Drago switching in, so I think I want to just click Moonblast and get a knockout onto either Urshifu, Fluttermane, or Drago. They switch. I guess it could be Tornadus as their last one, which would be interesting. But it's going to be Fluttermane. Okay, perfect. Nice. So we eliminate that from the field. We still have Tyranitar in the back. I can't tear it anymore, though, but I think the Rillaboom is positioned to actually sweep through my opponent's team right now. The other cool thing is with Life Dew and Rocky Helmet, Primarina actually checks the Urshifu quite nicely. So here's Grassy Glide. Almost one-shots Fluttermane there. Okay, they go for Expanding Force. Onto Rillaboom. Yep, that's fine. We survive with 2 HP. Wow. And Flutter gets knocked out now. Okay. Unfortunately, we are going to faint from Sandstorm here, but it allows for a free switch in for me now. I think with the free switch in, we can just go into Magmar first. They know I have Moonblast. If I go into Tyranitar, they're just going to be able to click Surging Strikes into it. So I'm going to Magmar here. I think I want to go for Follow Me and just Moonblast here. Okay, go for Follow Me. They just Expanding Force, but Urshifu doesn't protect, which is huge. Nice. Magmar also tanks Expanding Force. Perfect. They Surging Strikes, but then Urshifu faints. Excellent. Flame Body activates as well. Nice. I think the main turn I regret in this game was the Rillaboom Primarina double switch. I think I should have just switched it the other way around, because then Urshifu would have eaten Rocky Helmet damage, which would have been really nice. But here's Moonblast and Urshifu, and that's a one-hit knockout. Cool. I'm glad to at least showcase why Flame Body is pretty cool, though, right? So even if Urshifu protected there and they just went for Expanding Force, it still would have been okay since we survived that with Magmar. So the next turn, they would just Expanding Force, and then we'd still knock them out. Now it's a 2v1. I mainly just don't know how much damage to expect from Tachyon Cutter from Iron Crown onto Tyranitar. And our knockoff obviously does less damage because they don't have an held item anymore, but it's still super effective. So I'm happy to just knock off and Moonblast here. They go for Protect. That's actually really risky because I could have clicked Life Dew in this position. So maybe it was worth considering going for Life Dew there, but I was worried about the scenario in which like Tachyon Cutter actually knocks out Tyranitar. With the Sylvis, I don't think it should because we have AV and the special Sand Boost, but you know, in case they get a critical hit, for example. Plus, I'm not sure the recovery really changes too much anyway. But we continue to heal back up from terrain. Now there's no more terrain. Okay. So just knock off again and Moonblast again. I could protect Primarina in this position. I guess the question is whether or not like you get a one-hit knockout with Expanding Force, but it would feel bad to protect and then Tyranitar eats up Tachyon Cutter, right? But nice. The bulk on this team is very clutch. Primarina survives that. We get a super effective knockoff. Still does so much damage. And then Primarina finished these things off with the Moonblast. So this was a fun game. Yeah, I'm just happy to showcase the power of Redirection Magmar here. Being able to, you know, take away that Tachyon Cutter on turn 1, get that one-hit knockout onto Indeedee, would knock off Tyranitar. Primarina being able to heal with the Soul Dew in this one. Sorry, not the Soul Dew. I was looking at the Pace and saw Latios. The Life Dew was really nice here. And then Rillaboom being an offensive option as well. So I think, yeah, the main turns I could have played differently. You know, the turn that they just went for Tachyon Cutter into Tyranitar and then Surging Strikes, I definitely could have gone for a Grass Terra that turn with either of my Pokemon. For example, like Grass Terra, Tyranitar, and just Terra Blast into Urshifu was an option as well. But ultimately, I think I figured Rillaboom would be a really good sweeper. The turn that I ended up Moonblasting, you know, that could have been a Life Dew as well when Rillaboom ended up fainting. I didn't know if Rillaboom would take the Expanding Force there, and had, you know, fainted to Sand there, so we had just a little bit more HP than we would have survived with a little bit, but Sand was enough to finish us off, right? So that didn't feel great, where it's like I lost my Terra, might not have necessarily needed to go for it, but I like the idea of forcing a knockout as soon as Urshifu committed Protect. So yeah, this team has a lot of fun tricks. I'm glad to showcase a couple already. Alright, we've got Dondozo here. Dondozo, Tatsu, Glimmora, Entei, Chimpao, and Water Ogerpon. It's a classic. I don't know whether or not you're unaware or oblivious. I think I want to assume unaware, though, which does stink, because if it were oblivious, we could set up with Kommo-O. I think Grass Terra Magmar is going to be really important here. If it's Grass Terra Dozo with Order Up, though, what is our best way of dealing with it? Well, you know, one interesting thing is just spamming Draco Meteor with Latios, because if you're unaware, then the special attack drops on my end actually don't matter. And then we also have Helmet Primarina. Like, I think Helmet Primarina and Magmar is an interesting solution, because essentially, if I Grass Terra this, I can Life Dew up. I would love to get Dondozo burnt, ideally, through Flame Body. Do I even bother bringing Kommo-O then, is the question? Running out of time here. Magmar, Latios, Primarina. Okay, I'm still going to bring Kommo-O because they could be oblivious, right? I would expect unaware, but if it's oblivious, then I can use Kommo-O to set up in front of my opponent. It feels really weird to not bring Rillaboom in this matchup, but I don't know. I feel like Dondozo is going to Terra most of the time anyway. And if Dondozo goes for Grass Terra, Rillaboom is just really useless against it. I guess the main thing we could do is click Fake Out into it. Chimpao, Glimmora. Okay. Honestly, not a great lead for me here. What do I want to do? If you're leading this, what is it? It's just Dondozo, Tatsu in the back, I guess. I don't hate a double Protect here on turn 1. I do have Luster Purge as well, so alternatively I could go for Follow Me here into Luster Purge. I'm kind of down for that. Okay, they don't Terra. Here's Follow Me. Just Throat Chop. Flame Body would be so sick here. It's Life Orb, okay? No Flame Body, but we get Luster Purge off. Super effective into Glimmora. And that's a one-hit knockout. Very nice. Okay, sick. That is a huge turn for us. It is unfortunate that it is a 2-hit knockout, though, with the Throat Chop. It did exactly 50%, so it's probably a damage roll. What do I want to do in this spot? Honestly, they could just, like, Throat Chop and just go for a regular Order Up into Latios right now. I think I don't hate switching into Primarina here. Switch into Primarina and Protect. Ideally, they switch Tatsu in this turn, but it looks like they're not going to. Yeah. Primarina is a pretty good Pokemon to have here, though, right? With Rocky Helmet and Life Dew and Moonblast. So we Protect. Dozo protects, okay. Happy to Beta Protect out of that. And they throw Chop into Latios. Okay, that works. I want to Moonblast Champao here, I think, and then switch into Magmar. I could also Terra Latios this turn into Steel, which would allow me to Icy Wind. They might also switch into Tatsu here, but it looks like they're going to stay in, which I'm happy to see. Magmar comes back out. Okay, they throw Sharp Primarina to prevent sound-based moves, which makes sense. But I'll actually gladly take that turn, since I didn't go for sound moves. Okay, nice. 2v4 now. Subdozo. Whoa. So your Sub Protect, order up, I assume, and then it might be Earthquake. So I think this is where Life Dew is a really big deal. We're Steel on Primarina. Like, I think I want to go for Life Dew here and then protect this turn. Yeah, I don't know if Kommo was the right decision in the end. Rillaboom may have been better. Or Grass Terra T-Tar, honestly. Problem is just not knowing what Terra type their Dondozo is. Okay, I'm going to Life Dew Protect this turn. They should click Earthquake though, right? Okay, it's Body Press. That's fine. So it's a very defensive Dondozo. Sub Body Press. Wow. So it's Body Press order up then, I assume, right? Like, they might not have Wave Crash or Earthquake. And if that's the case, that's really interesting. Okay. If you keep clicking Body Press, you're gonna KO yourself, which is kind of funny. I need to break this sub and start Dracoing the Dozo, though. I'm gonna go for Follow Me here in Life Dew. They just forfeited. Wow. I mean, I think the game was far from over, honestly, but I guess because they're using this really defensive Dondozo set, they figured, hey, like, you have Life Dew recovery, I can't actually break through your defense. But I feel like they should have at least played it out for a couple more turns, but maybe they just knew, like, hey, there's just no way I'm going to break through it. Because, yeah, I think the game was still far from over, and I don't know if Kommo in my back would have really helped out much, but essentially in this matchup, like, I hedged for my opponent being either unaware or oblivious, and I figured, okay, if you are unaware, then I can use Latios and just spam Draco Meteor by positioning Latios improperly, and if you are oblivious, then I can go for Iron Defense and set up with Kommo-O. So that's kind of the long-term game plan. It was more of a question of how to get the Latios or the Kommo-O in safely, which is why I wanted to just go for Follow Me Life Dew, like, slowly chip away so then I eventually get the free switch in. But yeah, I think Latios was really nice in this game, just getting the one-hit knockout onto Glamora. I wonder how differently this game would have played out if it was just the standard Dondozo set, but to be honest, I would have preferred it standard Dondozo, because without Substitute, I think it's a lot more manageable, because Magmar can just redirect attacks away, and Latios can just spam Draco Meteor, for example. Alright, we are up against the team that won the Portland Regional Championships, or at least the same 6 Pokemon, so should expect things like Choice Band on Dragonite, Goggles on Bolt, Booster Energy on Flutter, Assault Vest on Entei, Sash on Chien-Pao. Magmar is really interesting here, but Water Ogerpon's probably the main thing we want to be careful about. I could Grass Terra Magmar to get around it, but if I Grass Terra, I'm suddenly weak to Ice Spinner from Chien-Pao and Sacred Fire from Entei. I think Rillaboom is interesting in this matchup, but it's a little bit sketchy into 2 Inner Focus Pokemon. If I were them, I would personally lead Ogerpon plus something. So I want to cover for an Ogerpon lead. We could try to just set up with Kommo early. So Magmar Kommo. I need Flutter main answers with this. I might bring Rillaboom in the back. Yeah, because I think Glide is still really valuable in this matchup. Both Primarina and Tyranitar are pretty good here, but I'm going to opt for Tyranitar. The reason I like Tyranitar is because if they go like Chien-Pao Dragonite, for example, I could just pivot in Tyranitar immediately, right? That breaks Focus Sash on Chien-Pao, which is a really big deal. I put on pressure with Rock Slide, resist Extreme Speed as well. But I think Primarina is also really strong here, especially into Entei as well as Chien-Pao. That's so funny that I'm like, hey, it's decent into this, and my opponent leads it. But honestly, this is totally fine, because I think Magmar is in a great position right now, right? Like, this turn 1, I'm happy to just go for Follow Me and Iron Defense. So here's Iron Defense, and Follow Me. I think my main question is whether or not a Sacred Fire Stomping Tantrum combo knocks out Magmar. My guess is no, honestly, even with the defense drop. Magmar's just really tanky, but we'll see. The main thing to think about by going for Iron Defense is that Chien-Pao has Sacred Sword, so Sacred Sword ignores the defense boosts. So we gotta be a little bit careful about that. I think another interesting play to have made here, by the way, was just switch Kommo out into Tyranitar, set up the Sand, and then go for Overheat to just try to eliminate Chien-Pao, right? Overheat gets you down to 1 HP, and then the Sand takes care of you. So that was definitely a viable option as well. But let's see. Magmar starts with the Follow Me. Okay, they go for Sacred Sword. Nice. And Stomping Tantrum. Yep, as expected. And we survive, as I mentioned. Perfect. Here's Iron Defense now. I think the main spooky thing in this scenario is that you can burn me with Sacred Fire onto Kommo-O. And a burn would be kind of annoying right now. A burn would actually be very annoying. Like, do I just accept that they're going to Sacred Fire here? Right? I could Follow Me. They should just Sacred Sword Magmar and then Sacred Fire into Kommo-O. You know, I could just Body Press Chien-Pao here and Protect. I don't hate that option. Oh, but Chien-Pao protects. Okay. Well, I'm curious if they Stomping into Magmar here. I could have gone for another Iron Defense, which would have been interesting. Oh, they went for Extreme Speed. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, Extreme Speed also makes sense. You can Extreme Speed Ice Spinner, but then it opens up the possibility of switching in Tyranitar right now. It's tempting. Like, I would... If they're gonna Extreme Speed, you can Extreme Speed Magmar, right? And then Sacred Sword or Spinner Kommo-O. But I'm thinking of going for, like, Body Press onto Chien-Pao here, and then switching into T-Tar. It's just a little bit risky, right? Because it's like, they could just Sacred Sword the T-Tar slot, and then Sacred Fire into Kommo-O. But if they make the Extreme Speed play, and don't Terra Chien-Pao, I think this is a play that could just win us the game. So I'm willing to take the risk, I think. Magmar's so funny. Look at its sprite. Or look at it just looking at Entei. Like, what are you doing? Okay. It's fun to have so many old gem Pokemon between Magmar, T-Tar, and Entei. Nice. Okay, there's Extreme Speed. And Sacred Sword. Beautiful. I think this turn was a little bit scary because there was a lot that could go wrong. Ghost Terra Chien-Pao, for example, or they just Sacred Sword into Magmar and then, you know, get the Sacred Fire burn onto Kommo-O. I think the right way to approach this matchup, if you're in my opponent's shoes, is to actually try to get the burn onto Kommo-O early, because the burn still reduces your damage from body press, and so that's the one way to really stop Kommo-O from just completely sweeping, right? But yeah, that turn worked out exactly how I wanted it to. And I went for it because my opponent went for that extreme speed play the previous turn, right? Like, and it makes sense. I think if you're my opponent, you have to be a little bit worried about getting burnt by Flame Body from Magmar, and so by going for extreme speed, you kind of mitigate the Flame Body chance and get around that option. Flutter Mane switches in. Okay. So you could Dazzling Gleam right now. The scary thing here, yeah, like this could Fairy Terra. You could Gleam Stomping Tantrum, for example. I want to get chip damage onto, I mean, ideally both of these. I think I want to Terra Flash Cannon here and Rock Slide. The scary thing about going for Terra is now Sacred Fire from Entei becomes super effective. And I think one of the things you're going to have to get used to when using this team is kind of the speed stats, right? Because we're not necessarily super fast. They actually Terra Entei. Okay, that makes sense. Terra Entei Protect Flutter Mane I think would be a pretty strong play here. But if Flutter is attacking and they somehow don't knock out Tyranitar and we get a knockout onto Flutter, then I think the game is honestly just over. So, let's see. But yeah, in this game, I think a Primarina lead could have worked out. I just didn't love it into the Ogre Pawn specifically that my opponent had. It's just Dazzling Gleam, which is fine. Nice. And then Stomping into T-Tar. Nicely done. Okay, they Sacred Fire into Kommo-O, so that will deal super effective damage, but no burn, fortunately. I think Rock Slide Flash Cannon should knock out Flutter Mane here. Great. Perfect. Flutter is gone now. Let's see what their last one is. Water Ogre Pawn, I think, could still make this kind of scary. Kommo-O can heal back a little bit, and I've got Rillaboom with Grassy Terrain, but honestly, yeah, like their Entei's in a decent spot. It's going to be Dragonite, though, okay. So we know it's Choice Band Dragonite. So you have to lock into a move. Latios in the endgame would have been pretty solid for me here, but it felt a little bad to bring Latios in this matchup. I think here with Kommo-O, I'm happy to just protect. They should... You could click Outrage here with Dragonite, honestly, which would be interesting. I'm going to go protect Knockoff here, because if we knock out Entei, then Dragonite really shouldn't be able to have enough firepower to win this endgame. I don't expect to be able to actually get this off, but we'll see. I think Rillaboom as the fourth right now is a really weak option for me. I brought it because I wanted to cover for Ogre Pawn. Like, I was pretty scared about it. But Primarina would have been infinitely better here, or Latios. I think with either of those, we would not have to really sweat out this endgame. But because I didn't bring either, it's a lot scarier. They Sacred Fire. And Stomping Tantrum. Okay. Yep. That knocks out Tyranitar. Okay, so my question is, does your Choice Band Dragonite Stomping Tantrum knock out Kommo-O? I could bring out Rillaboom instead, right? If I bring out Magmar... I could Helping Hand. I think I have trust in Kommo to survive this. So essentially, I'm going to bring out Magmar here and go for Follow Me into Body Press. So the question is, does Choice Band Dragonite with Stomping Tantrum KO Kommo-O, let's at +2 defense? The turn when I Body Press turn 2 in Chien-Pao could have been another Iron Defense, by the way. But I was a little bit spooked about being up against an Entei, like it burned me. So, yeah, I think my Pokemon selection in this game, like, I try to cover for everything, right? Rillaboom was... Okay, yeah, they go for E-Speed, and Magmar survives with 1! And they get burnt! Instead of E-Speeding there, they could have just gone for Stomping, I think, onto Magmar, which would have been super effective. But now this just secures the game for sure. Wow. I want to do the damage calc, though, on the Stomping Tantrum into Kommo-O. Because I think, basically, if we end up surviving there, then we're still fine, right? Like, all I need is Kommo-O to have a little bit of HP, because then it's Rillaboom in the end game, plus the Kommo-O, and then it's a 2v1 where you're locked into Stomping Tantrum. But how clutch was it that Magmar survived that? So we were at 58 HP at the start of this turn. Yeah, so I want to pull up the calc after this game and take a look. Because Kommo-O's really defensive, but is also Choice Band Dragonite we're up against, and it's super effective, so I'm honestly not sure. Now we bring Rillaboom out. And I can go for Protect here. Woodhammer. And even though Woodhammer is not very effective, like, it's Grassy Terrain boosted, Miracle Seed boosted, like, 2 Woodhammers and a Grassy Glide should get the knockout. So yeah, I think, like, this game was scary because I didn't necessarily bring the best Pokemon for my opponent's 4 specifically, right? Pre-Marina in this endgame, I think, would have just allowed me to end it a lot sooner. Or Latios. Latios would have actually been really nice because I would be able to just bring it out and then Draco Meteor one-shot Dragonite, especially because it chose not to lock into E-Speed. And so, if I were to replay this game, I'd think heavily about bringing Latios or Pre-Marina over Rillaboom. But I liked Rillaboom in theory because it covered for a bunch of different things that my opponent had. Woodhammer doesn't do that much, but that's fine. Like, one of the benefits here is getting Grassy Terrain recovery as well. Cool. And now with Grassy Terrain and Leftovers, Kommo is so healthy. Well, we'll also be able to see how much Stomping Tantrum does here, right? So we had 58 HP previously, and that's what we needed to survive. So just Flash Cannon here, and Woodhammer again. See how much it does. 37. Wow, so it would have been really close. But that did, what, 54 damage just now? So, like, my expectation of thinking we could survive there actually was reasonable. Which makes me feel good, because I think if it does just guarantee the knockout, then, like, the fact that I was put in this position means that it was really not great for me, and I needed to maneuver the endgame a little bit better. But yeah, Kommo now just continues to heal back up. So I do want to do the damage calc because we know the EV spread of that Dragonite as well and just look at the full spread. But glad that I didn't have to even end up sweating it out. And also proves how clutch Magmar is surviving that extreme speed with 1 HP. Because of course, like, Stomping Tantrum is probably a roll on the Kommo if I had to guess, right? I just don't know how favorable that roll is for me, which is why I really want to do this calc. But Glide now finishes off Dragonite, so that was a really intense game. But shoutouts to Magmar for tanking so many attacks throughout the course of this one. And I think ultimately it was funny because I was like, oh, you know, Pre-Marina, like, I don't love it, but it's good into Entei Chien-Pao, and then my opponent leads exactly that. And so the lead matchup was not great for me in the sense that I definitely had better options to lead. And Rillaboom, I think, in the back made things more challenging because it was really weak into both Dragonite and Entei. But yeah, I think, like, I've just lost a couple games to Ogerpon while using this team, and they, like, Terra early. I don't bring Rillaboom. I have Pre-Marine instead. And I'm like, well, this sucks because if I had just brought Rillaboom, I'd have a really good Ogerpon matchup. So that's the theory behind bringing it. But wow, what a game. Let's pull up the calc, though. So I wanted to show two different damage calcs. First of all, that Stomping Tantrum against Kommo-O with the HP that we were at, which was exactly 58, was a damage roll that was slightly in my opponent's favor. It's kind of wild because if I just had one more HP at 59, then it becomes a roll that's actually more in our favor. So the difference with 1 HP can make all the difference in damage rolls, right? This is really actually wild to look at. And so essentially we survive in 6 of the 16 calcs here. And of course, they have a slight chance of getting a critical hit as well. And so, yeah, I think my opponent probably went for extreme speed over Stomping Tantrum because there is a world in which the Magmar is actually faster than Entei. Entei on that opposing team isn't max speed, and Magmar's base speed is actually pretty speedy. So I'm thinking my opponent was a little bit maybe spooked out, was worried about Magmar being really fast and being able to outspeed Entei and get the knockout. So they're like, all right, I'll go for the extreme speed. This is also a wild calc, though. I wanted to show the extreme speed calc into Magmar. We had 38 HP, and so they were actually never able to get a guaranteed knockout with the EV spread that they had. We always survive with minimum 1 HP, and of course we can have a couple more HP points as well. And so that was a really wild game. I think we were lucky in the end that they didn't just go for Stomping Tantrum, right? Like Entei could have gone for Stomping, which would have knocked out Magmar, and then Dragonite would have gotten the Stomping off into the Kommo-O. And like I said, I was thinking we could survive it. It did indeed end up being a damage roll, but this roll was definitely more in my opponent's favor, and I don't love these odds. But once again, it's crazy, right? Because if we have literally 59 HP instead of 58, then suddenly that roll becomes in our favor. And so the difference between 1, 2, 3 HP actually matters a big deal here. But in the end, yeah, I think Pokemon's a difficult game because it's hard to make the perfect move with imperfect information, right? And if Magmar actually were faster and were to just outspeed and knock out Entei, that would feel bad as well. And so I can definitely understand why my opponent ended up going for that extreme speed rather than the Stomping Tantrum in that position. But Magmar, being super clutch, survives with that 1 HP. We get the knockout and are able to close out the game. Okay, we've got more Whimsicott. Oh, no way! Okay, wait, this is so cool. We're up against Peter, the creator of the Gouging Fire team that I just featured on the channel. And he recently mentioned that he had changed the Landorus on the team for Corviknight, so it's really cool to go up against him. Wow. If you want to see me use the original version of his team, I'll link it down in the description below. It's a really cool team with Gouging Fire with Dragon Dance, as well as Sunny Day Whimsicott. Man, Gouging Fire is really scary with the Whimsicott support, I think. It's Stellar Dark Urshifu, Covert Cloak Whims. Covert Cloak is also a pretty big issue, but I can at least overheat with Magmar. Clear Amulet's such a big problem because I also can't Icy Wind, but it's okay. Maybe this is actually a Kommo-O game? Actually, I think we need Primarina. Latios, Primarina, Rilla. I don't know. I think Kommo-O makes sense though, right? But the problem with Kommo-O is I'm weak to Dragon Claw before Terra, and if I Terra into Steel, I'm weak to Heat Crash. And I have to break through Encore Whimsicott too. So I don't like leading it because Whimsicott can just Encore. Maybe Magmar Kommo-O was actually okay here. The problem with Kommo-O is also like I have to face Flutter Mane, right? And Urshifu can crit me. Flutter Ogerpon. Okay. This is very not ideal. Both of my Pokemon are outsped and threatened by super effective damage right now, so it's a very bad spot to be in. I can double protect turn 1. I could also protect Magmar, pivot Rillaboom in, and then go for Grass Terra, Helping Hand Glide. I don't hate double protecting here. Because if Ogerpon doesn't Terra or they Spiky Shield on turn 1, one thing I could do is turn 2, go for Steel Terra, Helping Hand Draco Meteor. And it specs Flutter on this team unless something's changed, so seeing what Flutter locks itself into is already a big deal. What would have been good into Ogerpon plus Flutter Mane lead? I guess Steel Terra Kommo plus Rillaboom? No Terra from their end, which is okay. It's just Gleam. So yeah, I would like to Steel Terra, Helping Hand, Draco Meteor, Ogerpon, and hope to catch that off guard. I don't know if it'll work, but I think it's our best bet. Just surprise my opponent with a knockout onto that. The problem is they could just Terra Ogerpon and get around this, but let's try. Because we have Rillaboom to deal with Flutter in the back. Helping Hand, Terra, Draco. It'd be really interesting if we had Terra Blast here, right? Because I could consider like Helping Hand, Steel Terra, Terra Blast, but we're hoping for no Terra Ogerpon this turn or Spiky Shield. Just eliminate Ogerpon immediately. Once Ogerpon is eliminated, that protects Magmar significantly more, and both of my Pokemon resist Choice Specs, Dazzling Gleam. I could have just went for this on turn 1, but I wanted to see what Flutter committed to. Okay, they don't Terra Ogerpon, which is already big. Nice. No Spiky Shield. Okay, huge. Please don't miss Draco. I think I literally lose the game from that. That was such a bad miss. Oh, man. Well, live and die by the Draco Meteor. Oh, that sucks. Like, the swing in turns is so big, because if that connects, we just get a knockout and Magmar stays alive. But now not only do I, like, I just lose Magmar, which is such an important Pokemon. But, you know, that's what happens when you use moves that can miss, right? This team does have multiple moves that can miss and overheat Draco. But when stuff like this happens, you just got to reevaluate and be like, well, did I make the right play? And I think I'm very happy with how I played this turn too. And I found a really good play, right? 90% of the time it works out. Now I'm just trying to figure out how I can win the game from this position. I think we go into Rillaboom first. But yeah, that's things. But what's done is done. We just got to focus on the game that's in front of us and try to win. If I were my opponent, I'd personally probably Spiky Shield Ogerpon right now. I think a Flutter Switch would make a lot of sense into Corviknight. Or Gouging Fire. I'm playing from really behind right now in this game, so I feel the need to make some big predictions. I'm just going to Woodhammer Flutter Mane and Luster Purge into it. Hoping that Ogerpon Spiky Shields here. And Flutter Switches. Gouging Fire? Whims? Yeah, it's Corv. This is why I needed Magmar, right? It's a double switch, okay. Magmar was so well positioned. Oh, if we had just gotten the Ogerpon KO. Huge damage from Luster Purge, though, honestly. That was a crit. Okay. I'll take it. Helmet on that. This is still actually winnable, I think, so let's not give up. I'm hoping now to just KO Corviknight with Glide and Draco Meteor. The problem is that they can just Tailwind plus Roost, so I'm now curious how fast is Corviknight. Yeah, if Corviknight for some reason is slower than Latios at +2 and we knock out with Draco, that's a huge deal. Yeah, Glide doesn't KO. Another crit, though, so we're getting some good RNG, but yeah, they get rid of flying typing, but Draco's not going to do enough here. Oh, man. How else could I have played better? I honestly think the game is over at this point, given that they are faster and we couldn't get that knockout. I mean, you're just going to Roost again, right? Maybe it's still winnable, though. Because Primarina into Corviknight isn't a terrible matchup. If I had to guess, they would Encore Latios right now into Draco. I'm going to Woodhammer into Whimsicott and switch Latios out. I'm just so sad because like Magmar would have destroyed Whimsicott and Corviknight, and it would have resisted all the Dazzling Gleam. So like if we just got that knockout on turn 2, their endgame would have been Whimsicott, Flutter locked into Dazzle and Corviknight. They could obviously Terra one of the 3, but like Whimsicott Flutter doesn't apply that much offensive pressure, right? So you'd probably bring out Corp, then I can just like overheat. And I think Magmar was so well positioned offensively. Alright, they don't go for Encore, it's just Moonblast, yeah. And Roost again. Oh, just Brave Bird here, okay. Yeah, we don't survive that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the miss was obviously rough, but like, what else could I have done differently in this game? Let me think. How could I have led better? They led Ogre Flutter. Like, the lead actually wasn't great for me, right? So even though we got unlucky, it could have improved my play by having a better lead. I can't even protect here, right? They're just gonna... Is there any chance I survive Moonblast? I don't think so. Yeah, this game's over. We were caught in a tough spot with Flutter Ogre lead from their end, so I needed something better against that specifically. Flutter Ogre, what do I got? Rillaboom Magmar, Rillaboom Latios. Because with Rillaboom Latios, I could fake out Ogerpon, Steel Terra, Icy Wind turn 1. And that gives me good speed control. So Rilla, Latios, Magmar in the back, Primarina 4th, I think is a solid combo as well. Primarina lead definitely makes 0 sense here. I think Tyranitar is not very strong into their team. I could bring it in, like, I guess Terra, but we're just not doing that much damage. And Kommo-O is interesting. I think it also could be something like Magmar Kommo-O or Rillaboom Kommo-O, right? Because I can pressure with Fake Out Steel Terra and then Iron Defense. I just was really spooked out about bringing Kommo-O into a matchup when they have Encore Whimsicott. So... Pokemon-wise, I think the lead wasn't super good, right? So even though I got unlucky, I could have led better. And my solution to what they brought would probably be Rillaboom Latios, Rillaboom Primarina. Sorry, not Rillaboom. Rillaboom Primarina? No, I don't like Rillaboom Primarina. Yeah, it would have been Rillaboom Latios, I think. I think Kommo-O you could also flex in, right? Like Kommo-O, Magmar, Rillaboom. Kommo-O is also interesting. But... yeah, I really wish we could have seen how this would have played out if we just got the knockout on Ogerpon, because the fact they didn't Terra was huge for us, right? So, and they didn't Spiky Shield. So, we got exactly, like, the play we're looking for that turn. And yeah, I think if Draco knocks out, like, Flutter Specs locked in a Dazzling Gleam, so you bring out Whimsicott or Corviknight, you'd probably, if I were them, I'd probably bring out Corviknight and then Terra the Corviknight immediately. But then what I could do is just double up onto the Flutter main slot, right? So, I guess I would have switched out into Whimsicott. I didn't know that for sure, though. But, like, I could have gone for Luster Purge plus Overheat onto the Flutter main slot. And that would cover for their switch-ins, too, right? Although, I guess, no, it wouldn't cover because it's Dark Urshifu, which we knew about. So, yeah. Either way, though, I think, you know, Magmar is a Pokemon that can be amazing. But, yeah, there are Pokemon that can hit it for super effective damage. And those Pokemon can just secure that one-hit knockout are a pretty big deal. And, you know, I kind of had to make a big play because I was behind from my leads. So, yeah. Alright, we've got Tailwind here, Flutter, Ogerpon, Landorus, Urshifu, Whimsicott, and Gouging Fire. Tailwind is scary. Can't really use Latios for speed controls effectively. Man, they have a lot of big offensive threats here. Like, Flutter does a ton of damage. I don't know what Urshifu type it is. We don't have that much one-hit KO pressure, which is scary. I don't even know if they'll lead or go with Tailwind, honestly. Magmar or Rillaboom is interesting here, because with this, I can, like, Helping Hand Grass Terra or Grassy Glide, which does ridiculous amounts of damage. I like these two. I want Primarina if it's Water Urshifu. Could be Dark Urshifu. I could see it being either. T-Tar is not that great here because it takes super effective damage from everything. The only reason to bring it is to have a better Flutter matchup, and that's enough of a reason to make an argument for it, but I think Latios is really good. Especially because, like, they might not even feel the need for Whimsicott, or if we stall out their Tailwind, late game Latios is really good, right? I can Icy Wind into Landorus, I can Luster Purge into Urshifu, Draco Meteor into Gouging Fire. But this is not a Kommo-friendly matchup, I think, because of how long it would take for me to get set up. And then the other problem, basically, with Kommo is we don't love going up against special attackers, and they have both Flutter Mane and Landorus. Landorus in itself is a big deal, because they can just Earth Power us very easily, right? So, I don't feel nearly as good with Kommo. So, let's see. I'm hoping that we're able to... It would be amazing to get a surprise knockout with this Rillaboom early. Like, yeah, honestly, in this spot, Well, turn 1 already is interesting because I can just fake out Overheat. Right? I'm just worried if Whimsicott is Encore. I really want to go for the Grass Terra Helping Hand Grassy Glide onto Landorus. Yeah, I'm just really worried about them having Encore. I guess we'll find out. I'll fake out Overheat turn 1. Okay, Whim switches. That's fine. Into Gouging Fire. Nice switch. Yep. And Landorus protects. Okay, that's a really safe play by my opponent. Very nicely done. Not much I can do to counteract that. So Overheat's going to do like 5%. Grassy Terrain's just going to heal it back. You could just Earth Power Magmar now and Heat Crash. Rillaboom. I feel like I should be positioning Landorus in this spot. It's like protecting Magmar here and then switching in Latios, for example. Okay, I'm down for that. I think the fact that they didn't set up Tailwind means that I can get some more value out of Latios right now. And then I can pressure with Helping Hand, Draco. Gouging actually switches out. Oh, interesting. Back out into Whimsicott? No, into Ogerpon. Okay. This next turn is really interesting because I think we can catch our opponent off guard with Helping Hand, Icy Wind, potentially. Assuming they're just Earth Powering into Magmar. Oh, wow. That was a sick play. That is not good for me. Okay. Nicely done. The Grass Terra Grassy Glide play would have been brilliant with Helping Hand this last turn. I'm curious though, like, do you just Terra your Ogerpon here? Because I could Grass Terra Magmar. Personally, I want to follow me here. Sorry, I want to Grass Terra Magmar, follow me, and Icy Wind. And I'm hoping that they commit to the Terra on Ogerpon here. But no Terra comes out. Could just be a double protect this turn, which would be smart by them. Because now you can just Sludge Bomb into Magmar. But if I break through the sub, I think it would be huge. Follow me. Okay, they don't actually Terra either option, which I guess I'll take. It just means that they could Terra either option next turn. But we get a speed drop on a both. Or sorry, we don't get a speed drop on a Landorus. They Sludge Bomb onto us and then Cudgel, yeah. Nice Sludge Bomb play. So, you know I have Icy Wind. I personally would love to just eliminate Ogerpon here, so I want a Helping Hand Draco into it. They could switch Ogerpon back out into Whimsicott. But you're vulnerable to Icy Wind Overheat in that scenario, which is another play I could have made. Landorus could Terra here, which would make sense. Ogre switches, okay. Into Whims. Nice. Gouging Fire. I'll take that. So Landorus is protecting here, right? Okay, I'll take that turn. Free knockout on a Gouging Fire. Cool. My opponent's played really well so far, though, honestly, so gotta give them props. I think Magmar is such an important Pokemon in this matchup, and the fact they went for that Sludge Bomb rather than Earth Power was really nice. Whimsicott. Okay. I don't know, I kind of expect this to poison Terra, right? Sludge Bombing Magmar makes sense. I want to protect and Luster Purge here. Landers shouldn't threaten Latios for a one-hit knockout, which is the main thing, but I have Primarine in the back, which ends up not being the best pick. But to be honest, I didn't have a really good final option against Water Ogerpon, right? They don't Terra. Okay. Could just be a sub. There's Tailwind. It is just sub. Okay, that makes sense. I guess that's fine. Although Icy Wind overheat here into Whimsicott would have been cool. Okay, sub fades. I don't know if Moonblast even KOs Magmar right now. If I were my opponent, I would like probably Moonblast Sludge Bomb Latios. This Magmar has 68 special defense. We might survive. Like, I think I want to follow me here in Icy Wind. Okay, they don't switch. There's Moonblast. Oh, Magmar is so clutch. Nice. Survives that. Yeah. Get Sludge Bomb off, but we get Icy Wind, which is nice. Which should put Landorus in Grassy Glide KO range, which is a big deal. I'm mainly just a little bit worried because I think Primarina just like provides very little value for me as a fourth option here in this endgame. Oh, Whimsicott speed didn't drop, so it's Covert Cloak. Okay. Alright, that's good to know. You know what's interesting though is if you end up terroring Ogerpon, then I deal super effective damage with Glide, which is kind of a big deal, right? Two turns of Tailwind left. I don't hate just going for Glide here on the Landorus, and then pivoting Latios out into Primarina. This has been a really interesting game so far. Like, we've done a lot of damage, right? But we have to be really patient. Would I have rather have preferred something over Primarina? Kommo-O is really bad into the Whimsicott and Landorus. I don't think Tyranitar really would have done much either. So, yeah, this is one of the cases where I think we just don't really have a great fourth option. And at least Primarina is pretty bulky and can life do as well. Oh, they Terra here. Huh. I mean, you're not surviving Grassy Glide, right? You're at like 10%. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, cool. I can see what they were going for, because my opponent was probably like, well, I don't have anything else to Terra, so I might as well go for it in the off chance I can survive. And they Moonblast into the Latios slot. Good. I think Rillaboom is really well positioned now, so I'm feeling good about this spot, but let's see if we can secure a victory. Ogerpon comes back out. We know your Covert Cloak, which is actually pretty annoying. Having that speed drop would have been quite nice. Because essentially with the speed drop, then like Rillaboom would pressure. I can just... Last turn of Tailwind. I mean, why not just... Okay, how many turns of Grassy Trainer left? 4. So why not just go for Woodhammer here on an Ogerpon and then protect Primarina? I guess they could Spiky Shield Ogerpon, but they're not going for it. So I think this should be good. Perfect. And even if Woodhammer doesn't KO, Grassy Glide should finish off Ogerpon. Yeah, they just Cudgel into us. But neither of your Pokemon deal good damage into Rillaboom, right? I wonder if this just gets a one-hit KO. Nice. Sweet. Alright, this was an intense one. But yeah, like, you could see why I brought Latios, right? I felt like I needed Latios to have a better Landorus-I matchup. And Magmar being able to tank so many attacks in this game was huge, right? It redirected, what, 4 attacks throughout the course of this battle, which was really nice. So then I can just one Hammer and Moonblast. Actually, Life Dew would be cool to go for. But yeah, they just end up forfeiting. I think Latios was a really interesting offensive option in this one because it pressured most of my opponent's Pokemon for a knockout. In my opinion, like one of the most pivotal turns in this game was when Gouging Fire switched in and I just Draco'd and got the one-hit knockout onto it. Because I think Whimsicott could have pivoted in that position. And my opponent made some really nice plays in that mid-game as well, right? Like they went for Substitute on Landorus. That was a missed opportunity for me. They predicted the potential Terra from Magmar. I mean, Sludge Bomb, Ivy Cudgel covers for all options, because if I don't Terra, like, Cudgel just does so much to Magmar, and then Sludge Bomb finishes it off. So, it might not have just... It probably wasn't, like, a hard prediction. It was more just, like, I'm going to cover every option. But I think they played very, very well with Landorus in that mid-game. I think the one thing that really helped me was they did not Terra... like with Landorus until it was too late, right? If Landorus Terra'd the turn I went for Icy Wind, that could have been really scary, but they were probably a little bit scared to do that because they had saw that I was going for Luster Purge the turn before, right? But Sub Landorus, I think, is really strong. My opponent made it look really good in this one. To me, Latios felt like the MVP of this game, so really happy with its performance, and then the redirection from Magmar was so crucial as well. Alright, we've got an Iron Crown team with Inity Male as well as Sneasler and Gothitelle. That's really cool. Rilla, T-Tar both going to be very essential here. I don't know if it's Water Urshifu or Dark Urshifu, but Primarina is good either way. Latios does give me Icy Wind speed control. I think leading Tyranitar might be okay here. I'm thinking Latios Tyranitar. Rilla in the back. Primarina fourth. I think Kommo's not very good here, since it's just outpaced, and they have two really strong special attackers. And I can't pivot in and out as easily if Gothitelle's out. And I think Magmar doesn't feel that great here, because they have a lot of spread moves. It would be helpful into Sneasler, somewhat valuable into Urshifu, but I don't love it. I think Latios for Icy Wind speed control is quite nice. Tyranitar is really good damage-wise here, and this is max speed Tyranitar, which we might be able to catch our opponent off guard with. I think one of the other questions I have is, what is the Iron Crown set? Are you booster energy? Because if so, then knockoff obviously isn't going to do as much damage because you consume that immediately. Sneasler Flutter. Okay, I don't love going up against this. Booster Flutter. Speed. This could just fake out turn 1. It could also just close combat me turn 1. I think I'm down to protect here and then switch into Primarina. Not the lead I was expecting. Definitely pretty scary. I think I want to eliminate Sneasler first and then use Rillaboom to take care of Flutter. We also have Luster Purge, which is pretty strong, right? Okay, nice. So we made a protect out from that. That's good. And they just Moonblast. Alright, I'll take that. So, I mean, with this, I think what I'd like to do is Terra Latios to survive Moonblast. Luster Purge into Sneasler, which is super effective. And Moonblast into Primarina. Let's go for it. They could switch Flutter out into Indeedee, which would set up Psychic Terrain. Sneasler pivots out instead, okay. NDD comes in for that slot. All right. That's okay. Oh, and they Terra. That's interesting. Into what? Fairy? That is not what I expected here. Okay. I mean, with Steel Terra, you don't really do that much damage to me, and you don't have a special attack boost or a special attack way to boost your damage output, so I don't mind that too much. One of the things to think about is if I eliminate Indeedee and then pivot in Rillaboom, then the Psychic Seed that's probably on Sneasler won't get burnt. And that means you have a useless item and you're slower than Latios, which is kind of a big deal. Okay, they go for Moonblast onto Latios. Okay, nice. 148 down to 94. Yeah, that did not do very much damage. Luster Purge onto Indeedee. Solid damage there. Special defense drop, which is actually quite lucky. And a special attack drop, so that was a very fortunate turn for us. Okay, how do I leverage that big turn and turn it into a big win? Ideally we knock out Indeedee. I think, I have to be worried about Helping Hand Moonblast onto Primarina. Actually, but because of the special attack drop, I don't think that's even that scary. I want to pivot in Rillaboom right now. And Moonblast. Indeedee. So the reason I want to pivot in Indeedee is because I want to eliminate, pivoting Rillaboom is because I want to eliminate Indeedee right now. If I eliminate Indeedee, it means that Sneasler just hard loses to Latios in this endgame. Nice, and they protect Flutter. Sick. Primarina just did so much with that Moonblast, honestly. I was kind of surprised. They just go for Expanding Force, which is fine. Nice. And Moonblast comes out. Cool. Perfect. And now you just protected Flutter, so I can obviously easily Grassy Glide that slot. Although Sneasler could come out and... I mean, the question is, what is Sneasler's moveset? Because it went for Protect on turn 1. I'd be kind of shocked if it also had Fake Out. Normally, you're going to want to run Dire Claw, Close Combat, Fake Out, Rock Slide, Protect. So the question is whether or not it's running Rock Slide or like a filler 4th move. Because you could theoretically run Fake Out and Protect. It's a possibility. I think what we can do here, though, is just protect Rillaboom and Hyper Voice. Because Primarina's done its job at this point in the game, right? I guess it's still valuable into Urshifu, but Rillaboom can just glide this next turn. If you knock out Primarina, then I can just go for Latios. So, yeah, I'm happy to just protect Hyper Voice. And with the special attack drop from Flutter, I think they're really not that scary. So they're going to pivot out, meaning they get rid of their speed boost. And that's Iron Crown, I believe. Yeah, this is why I wanted to prioritize knocking out Indeedee, right? Without terrain, like, now your Sneasler and your Crown are so much weaker. Beautiful. We bait the Dire Claw out there. Get a big Hyper Voice off with Primarina. Beautiful. Okay, Latios is looking really good now in this endgame. I don't know my Dire Claw Calc super well is the main spooky thing here. I think Tyranitar is not essential at this point, but conserving Rillaboom actually is valuable. Because I'm waiting for a free switch into Latios. It could be, I think we also want to respect this being Choice Scarfed, right? Because, like, Rilla essentially hard wins against Flutter in this endgame. So I don't mind switching Rillaboom out into Tyranitar right now. And then going for another Hyper Voice. And if they don't knock out Primarina here, and we knock out Sneasler, I think it's just a done deal, because then Rilla just wins us the endgame. But yeah, like, T-Tar doesn't feel very good to me in this matchup. But they go for Tachyon Cutter, which I think would imply Dire Claw onto the Primarina slot. Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. Rocky Helmet. Primarina faints. Sandstorm is no longer around. And I can bring out Latios. Okay, with Latios, we've gotten into a position where... I'd like to just knock off an Icy win here, personally. Yeah, because I would protect Sneasler here. Perfect. Okay, good. Oh, but they are Scarf. Okay. That actually creates some pretty big complications for me. Man, that's actually huge. I mean, should have seen it coming since it was outspeeding the Sneasler. Okay. Well, that makes for a really interesting endgame. It's not great. Okay. Last turn of terrain, which is also part of the problem for me here. No Woodhammer. And Luster Purge. I could have switched Tyranitar out. I would have been able to reset the sand. I think... Gosh, that's so much damage with Attacking Cutter. Get Woodhammer. How much does this do? It's a lot, okay. This is going to be a really close end game. Because with Flutter, you probably want to click Shadow Ball. But I'm not sure it knocks out Latios. Oh my gosh, this is so tough. Because the speed order goes Flutter, Latios, Iron Crown, Rillaboom. So the play I'd like to make, I mean, we've revealed Protect, which, like, so I can't catch my opponent off guard with that. But I think I want to Protect here. I don't know if Luster Purge knocks out Crown. So I want to Protect Draco. Nice. Okay, that's huge. If we don't miss Draco, I think we're good still then. I should have anticipated Scarf Crown, though. It's still not one for me 100%, though. Since Luster Purge isn't going to knock out. But I don't think Shadow Ball knocks out Latios with you being this set. So we just Woodhammer here. 2 Luster Purges should do it. If I go for Icy Wind, I risk missing. Which doesn't feel great. Oh, they just end up forfeiting. I think it was worth playing it out for one more turn. I would Shadow Ball into, or sorry, I would Moonblast into the Rillaboom there, secure the knockout. If you survive Luster Purge, and then you go for a Shadow Ball critical hit the next turn. So I think they still could have played it out there. But yeah, I think we were in good shape. Either way, really interesting game here. You know, I think Primarina put in a lot of work. We got really lucky when Latios and Primarina got those stat drops simultaneously. It just put me in a much better position. But I thought the game really should have just been won at that point. Especially because we were able to get the knockout on Dignity. But yeah, Attacking Cutter from the Crown was just really scary. And I think the big turn was when they went for Cutter correctly into the Tyranitar switch-in. And they ended up knocking out Primarina there. I could have just stayed in with Rillaboom in that spot, right? And just gotten a knockout, I think. I guess the Rillaboom was caught in a pretty awkward position, so that switch felt fairly obvious. But maybe I could have just sacrificed Rillaboom, or just stayed in and clicked Woodhammer, honestly. And wait for the free switch into either Latios or Tyranitar. I think the main problem for me is that Tyranitar took, like, too much unnecessary damage in this game. Although in my head, I was like, yeah, Tyranitar's not that useful, because it just kind of feints to the Sneasler. But yeah, we should have been able to, anticipate that it was going to be Choice Scarf, especially since we saw it outspeeding Sneasler already. I just wasn't sure exactly how my opponent had trained their Pokemon, and it's possible for Crown to be faster than Sneasler, right? Because, like, Sneasler without Psychic Seed, like, you might not even invest that much in speed, because the idea is with Psychic Seed and Unburden, you become a lot faster. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Thank you to Michael for building and sharing this really fun and incredible team. And I'm just really happy to highlight some more unusual and unorthodox picks. I feel like Magmar, Primarina, Latios all put in a ton of work throughout the course of this episode. And so, yeah, it's really cool to just use a team with so few Pokemon that are high up in the usage rates. And Michael getting top 32 at a regional championship with this team is a testament to how great of a team builder and player he is. So hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.